It was a crisp, clear morning in Yellowstone National Park, and two tour buses filled with enthusiastic senior citizens were making their way through the picturesque landscape. The group, affectionately known as the Golden Adventurers, was on a week-long trip, eager to witness the natural wonders and abundant wildlife of the park. Little did they know, their visit would turn into an unforgettable battle for the park's tranquility. As the buses rolled to a stop near a scenic overlook, the seniors disembarked, cameras and binoculars in hand. Among them were Alice and George, a sprightly couple in their 70s, who led the Golden Adventurers with their boundless energy and infectious enthusiasm. "Look at that view, George!" Alice exclaimed, pointing to the majestic landscape. "It's just breathtaking." George smiled, wrapping an arm around her. "It sure is, Alice. Let's see if we can spot some elk." The group spread out along the overlook, chatting and taking in the sights. Suddenly, a loud commotion drew their attention. Through their binoculars, they saw a group of Bigfoots emerging from the forest, their massive forms moving swiftly and silently. The seniors watched in awe and horror as the creatures began hunting a herd of elk, bringing them down with brutal efficiency. "Those poor elk!" Alice gasped. "We have to do something, George." George nodded, his jaw set with determination. "You're right, Alice. We can't let those monsters decimate the wildlife." Word spread quickly among the Golden Adventurers, and soon the entire group was gathered, a mix of fear and resolve in their eyes. They had faced many challenges in their lives, and they weren't about to let a pack of Bigfoots ruin their cherished national park. The seniors quickly formulated a plan. George, a former military strategist, took charge, organizing the group into small teams. They armed themselves with whatever they could find: walking canes, metal thermos flasks, and even sturdy branches. Alice, ever resourceful, found a box of firecrackers in one of the buses, which they decided to use as a distraction. "We'll split into two groups," George instructed. "One will create a diversion with the firecrackers, while the other group will circle around and drive the Bigfoots toward the cliffs and thermal vents." The seniors nodded in agreement, their spirits buoyed by George's leadership. They moved out, their hearts pounding with adrenaline and fear. George's group, armed with the firecrackers, positioned themselves on a ridge overlooking the Bigfoots. At his signal, they lit the firecrackers and threw them down, the loud bangs and bright flashes startling the creatures. The Bigfoots roared in confusion and anger, turning their attention toward the noise. This was the moment the seniors had been waiting for. Alice led the second group in a flanking maneuver, driving the Bigfoots toward the cliffs and thermal vents. The seniors attacked with surprising ferocity, their years of wisdom and experience guiding their actions. George used his cane like a club, landing a powerful blow to one of the Bigfoot's heads. Alice wielded her thermos like a mace, swinging it with all her might. The Bigfoots, caught off guard by the unexpected assault, fought back with raw strength. One of the creatures lunged at George, knocking him to the ground. But before it could deliver a fatal blow, a group of seniors descended on it, beating it back with their canes and walkers. Meanwhile, another team led by Ruth, a retired nurse with a fierce spirit, managed to drive a pair of Bigfoots toward a bubbling thermal vent. The creatures, disoriented and panicked, stumbled into the scorching water, their roars of pain echoing through the park. As the battle raged on, the seniors' tactics began to pay off. They forced several Bigfoots toward the edge of a steep cliff, where the creatures struggled to maintain their footing. With a final coordinated push, the seniors sent the Bigfoots tumbling over the edge, their howls fading into the abyss below. Despite their age, the seniors fought with a tenacity and courage that surprised even themselves. They used every tool at their disposal, from their walking aids to their sheer willpower, to drive back the Bigfoots. The creatures, realizing they were outmatched, began to retreat, their numbers dwindling rapidly. The last of the Bigfoots, a massive creature with deep, intelligent eyes, stood its ground near the edge of the forest. It roared defiantly, refusing to back down. George, bruised and battered but unbroken, stepped forward. "This ends now," he declared, raising his cane. The seniors rallied around him, forming a united front. With a final, thunderous roar, the Bigfoot charged. But the seniors held their ground, striking as one. George delivered the finishing blow, his cane connecting with the creature's skull with a sickening crack. The Bigfoot collapsed, defeated. The Golden Adventurers stood in silence, catching their breath and surveying the battlefield. The once serene overlook was now littered with the bodies of the fallen Bigfoots and the remnants of the brutal skirmish. The seniors, despite their age and frailty, had triumphed against the odds. As the adrenaline faded, the reality of their actions set in. They had fought to protect the park they loved, but at a great cost. The sight of the fallen creatures, once the stuff of legend, now lay broken and lifeless at their feet. In the days that followed, the seniors worked tirelessly to restore the park. They notified the park rangers of the incident, who, although skeptical at first, couldn't ignore the evidence before them. The story of the seniors' bravery spread quickly, earning them the respect and admiration of the nation. Yellowstone National Park, once under siege by a pack of Bigfoots, was reclaimed as a haven for wildlife and visitors alike. The Golden Adventurers, hailed as heroes, returned to their lives with a renewed sense of purpose and camaraderie. Years later, the tale of the Battle of the Giants became a legend in its own right. The seniors, now in their twilight years, often reminisced about that fateful day. They had faced a threat few could have imagined, and through their courage and unity, had protected one of the nation's greatest treasures. George and Alice, the heart and soul of the Golden Adventurers, continued to lead their group on new adventures, their spirits unbroken and their bonds stronger than ever. They had proven that age was just a number and that the spirit of adventure and bravery never truly faded. As they looked out over the restored beauty of Yellowstone, they knew that their legacy would live on, inspiring future generations to protect and cherish the natural wonders of the world. And in the quiet moments, they could almost hear the echoes of that fierce battle, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Golden Adventurers.